it's a fair point. Joining me right now is Harvard Law Professor Emeritus, author of Get Trump, The Threat to Civil Liberties, Due Process, and Our Constitutional Rule of Law. Alan Dershowitz back with us. Alan, great to see you. Thank you for being here this morning. Your reaction to Ratcliffe and Bauer?
Well, they're both right. The report itself is a disaster on both respects. It was unfair to both sides. First, they got the law wrong. The kind of cognitive skills you need to be able to commit this crime are minimal cognitive skills. All Biden had to know is that he did possess classified material and that he had no right to possess it. You don't need a deep memory to do that. So he was just wrong about the law. He was also wrong about how trials are conducted. How would the jury find out about Biden's bad memory? Biden would have to introduce it. As a trial lawyer, I would never have introduced that as a defense in this case. So Herr was wrong. Herr was also wrong in going as far as he went in trying to do a medical diagnosis of somebody who he hadn't examined, who medically or hadn't been examined medically. So, I think this report is going to really cause us to think hard about the role of special counsel. He was wrong in everything he possibly could have done. He was wrong about not charging Biden. Biden should have been charged, or Trump should have been his case dismissed. And he was wrong in going into kind of medical diagnoses that will have a political impact on the case. A D- with great inflation for Mr. Hurd.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had to give a reason as to why he wasn't going forward with any prosecution.
Well, but can you imagine if he had said, look, all the elements are there, but he's a really good-looking guy and a charming guy, and I don't think the jury's going to convict him. He's so charming. Or if he had said, look, he's black, and the jury in this district is going to be predominantly black, so we're not going to charge. That's not what a special counsel is supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be laying out the elements of the crime and not making predictions about how the jury will assess the evidence. That's up to the jury itself. So he went way beyond the scope of what he should have been doing.
Alan, let me switch gears, ask you about what's going on with this impeachment inquiry. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is now demanding unfettered access to those classified documents that President Biden was holding on to. He wants to determine whether those documents were used to help the Biden family's influence peddling schemes. Special counsel Robert Hur's report confirmed that Biden held on to confidential documents related to Ukraine and China. Hunter Biden, of course, as you know, was on the board of Burisma, the Ukrainian natural gas company. In June of 2014, he also had a joint business venture with the Communist Party of China. It was CEFC. Here's what Chairman Comer told me yesterday about all of that. Watch. Your reaction to the special counsel's report.
What I'm concerned about is the fact that hidden within that document is evidence that some of the classified documents he mishandled were from Ukraine and China. We've been leading a major influence peddling investigation of the president where we've proven that at the very least his son and brother have been influence peddling with those two countries. We want to know exactly what those documents were, and we want to know if Hur actually interviewed Jim Biden and Hunter Biden, because look, this family, as you know very well, has been involved in influence peddling for decades. This is shady. This is counter to everything we stand for in America, and it's a threat to our national security.
Alan, your thoughts?
Well, certainly the House Judiciary Committee has the right to get all of this information and to pursue an inquiry into corruption. But it's not an impeachable offense because it didn't occur while he was president, and they haven't been able to point the finger at him rather than at his children. As you know, I defended President Trump against unconstitutional impeachment. You need to show treason, bribery, other high crimes and misdemeanors. I don't think they can show that against the incumbent president of the United States. So, yeah, go ahead and do the investigation. Find out if there was corruption, but drop the impeachment and drop the impeachment of Mayorkas as well. We should not be using impeachment unless the House can demonstrate clearly treason, bribery, other high crimes and misdemeanors, and I think they're way short of that.
Well, but Alan, what about this dereliction of duty at the open border? I mean, what do you think should be done there? You're saying drop the impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas?
Yes, without a doubt, because dereliction of duty was raised in the Constitutional Convention. They called it maladministration. And James Madison said, no, we can't have that as a ground for impeachment. You can have hearings. You can abolish the office. You can do a great many things. The one thing you can't do is abuse the impeachment power. And every Republican who voted for Donald Trump in the impeachment case should be voting against the impeachment of Mayorkas. I understand the frustration, but impeachment is not a cure-all. It's not designed to make policy decisions. If you don't like what Mayorkas is doing, vote against the man who appointed him. That's the right end of the Constitution.
Alan, when are you expecting a decision from the Supreme Court on whether or not Trump will be on the Colorado ballot? And what's your expectation of this coming couple of months going into the election? Trump is obviously outsized winner in the GOP. He's expecting to lock up the nomination by mid-March, and yet he's got these 4 indictments.
Well, first of all, I think the Supreme Court will rule either 8-1 or 9-0 that Colorado can't take the vote away from you or me. You want to vote for Trump. I want to vote against Trump. We have an equal constitutional right to cast the ballot, not to have Colorado decide who casts the ballot in the case and who decides who's the president. Yes, there will be these charges. I would hope that maybe the charges against Trump in Florida would be dismissed as a result of the special counsel's report. If you apply the criteria he applied, I just don't think you see a case. Remember, a man like Trump is not obligated to cooperate when the government is trying to get him and put him in jail. So if I were his lawyer, I would not have recommended that he cooperate. And the fact that he didn't cooperate is not a relevant factor in deciding whether or not he or Biden should be prosecuted. So, I think we're going to have 2 weakened candidates, one weakened by we know what, age, et cetera, and the other weakened by the fact that he has 4 charges. In my book, Get Trump, I conclude that none of the 4 charges against Trump are valid, but at least one of them will probably go to trial and probably result in a conviction before the election. And that could have an impact on the election. Is it election interference? Well, maybe it isn't intended to be such, but it may have that impact, and that wouldn't be good for American voters.
Wow, what a year. Incredible, Alan. We'll be watching it along with you. We appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.